Okay, good morning. Let's see here. Where did we leave off at? Back home. Back to my routine. I thrive in a routine. Archetype that is, and what house it falls under. Okay. Directions. I'm going to get a little more comfortable. Okay, there we go. The directions. I recommend that you do this work alone or only with people you trust. Set up an atmosphere that has little distraction as possible, and choose a time when you will not be disturbed so that you can stay focused. Concentrate on casting this wheel because it will be the basis for future readings. Remember, you can cast this wheel only once. Don't cast your wheel while watching TV or a movie. You're the only movie you want to be watching when you're working with this tool. There are four steps to casting your archetypal wheel. Although an empty drawing of the wheel has been provided for you to fill in, you will want to trace or copy it into your journal so that you can reuse the empty wheel for other readings later on. Step 1. Simple preparation. You will need 24 palm-size pieces of paper, about 2 inches by 3 inches. On each of 12 of those slips of paper, write the name of one of your 12 archetypes. Refer to your journal if you need to remember which ones you chose. And my archetype book is coming hopefully today. On each of the other 12 slips, write one number between 1 and 12. Keep the slips with the archetypes and numbers in 2 different stacks face down. Interesting. Step 2, intuitive focus. Use this meditation to begin the next step. Center yourself as if you were doing a visualization for healing and spiritual guidance. Breathe in and out deeply 3 times. Empty your mind. Direct your attention fully into your body. Focus on your first chakra. Visualize closing the shutters of that chakra so that its energy is fully contained in your body. Feel the silence that results and the relief as you close down any contact with the first chakra concerns, such as family affairs. Bring all your energy connections back into your root chakra and hold them there. You are no longer in contact with the outside. For a moment, rest in the tranquility of being contained in one place. Now close the shutters through each of the rest of your chakras. Sacral, moving to your second chakra in the genital area, and let go of any thoughts or emotions concerning money, sex, and power. Ouch. Consolidate your energy in the second chakra and just enjoy the pleasurable sensation of having no agenda. Next, close the shutters of your third chakra, corresponding to the solar plexus. Release all thoughts or feelings about your self-esteem, how others view you, how you see yourself. You are entering a state in which you are viewing yourself without preconception. Think of the Zen cone or riddle. What was my original face before I was born? Now move your intention to the fourth or heart chakra and center your emotions. Let go of any emotions that may hinder or obscure the process of casting your chart. Draw your energy into your heart chakra and hold it there, free of any emotional charge. Then focus on your throat chakra, the center of will and choice. You can release all concerns about making conscious choices, secure in the knowledge that your intuition, the divine within, will be selecting your archetypes for you. Enjoy the feeling of safety and intimate connection with your inner self. Raising your attention to your sixth chakra, focus on the pineal gland and on an imaginary line reaching back from between your eyes to the center of your skull. Let any conscious thoughts drift through your mind without either clinging to them or forcing them to leave. This is a state known as mirror mind, in which you observe ideas passing like clouds above a mirror. Finally, bring your attention to your seventh chakra. The image that the shutters are at the crown of your head and that you are opening them as wide as possible. Your seventh chakra is now the only opening in your body, making you fully dependent on the energy of that spiritual portal. In this state of mind and spirit, shuffle the stack of numbers and place them back on the table downward. Then shuffle the stack of archetypes, asking the question, in which houses do these archetypes best serve me? Your intention attracts energy and creates a magnetic circuit that will direct the archetypes to their appropriate houses as you work with them in step 3, reflecting the body of your contract. Step 3, intuitive choice. Picture yourself as a hollow reed, transmitting energy. Keeping the cards face down, choose a number card and archetype. The numbers correspond to the house into which that archetype should go. Write the name of that archetype into the numbered house on your wheel. If you chose the number 4 in the child cards, for example, your child archetype belongs in the 4th house of your wheel. Continue this exercise until all 12 houses are filled. Step 4, the partnerships of archetypes and their houses. Once you have paired the archetypes with their houses, you have generated a unique energy field. As you look at the completed wheel and its lineup of your 12 archetypal companions, visualize yourself at the center of this wheel, surrounded by these energy figures. Imagine that you are seeing into a symbolic hologram of your unconscious. In this step, you will animate the ley lines between the archetypes, houses, events, relationships, attitudes, memories, fears, triumphs, love, acts of grace, all the details within the orbit of your life. You'll do this by answering a number of questions that appear in the next section. This process of animation is like laying the electrical wiring in a house, putting in sockets and circuit breakers. After you have laid enough psychic wires, the lights go on, and you will begin to see clearly into all parts of your life, some of which you have forgotten, some of which have been dark or mysterious. To start exploring the meaning of each archetype to house partnership, list any immediate associations and thoughts that occur to you. You may feel some resistance to some of the partnerships, but please don't suppress any thoughts that come to you. You are learning a new language and a multidimensional method of perceiving your life. Feel awkward for matched the saboteur to your seventh house. You might write, my saboteur archetype is in the house of marriage and relationships. This means the fears that cause me to engage in self-sabotage generally have more to do with my relationships than with my professional life. I don't tend to sabotage myself in business dealings because I have a strong sense of self-esteem in that realm. Yet my fear of rejection leads me to react badly to commitment in any relationships. As you practice symbolic sight, it will become second nature to you. How might you interpret the victim archetype in the same house of relationships? When dealing with the victim, you might want to think of how its energy reveals itself in the hurdles, potential opportunities, and the personal characteristics that occur in all your relationships. Your family, spouse, business partner, children, and friends. How can you transform the victim within in order to have a healthier relationship? The idea of relationship also refers to how you relate to your own self, to nature, to all of life, including animals. Begin with your earliest memories and look for lifelong patterns. Don't just look at your present relationships. As you trace the victim or any other seventh house archetype through all your relationships, you need to look for all of the positive as well as the challenging contributions that it has made. Stretch your definition and associations with archetypal patterns, particularly when they have challenging names like victim, prostitute, saboteur, servant, or addict. Otherwise, you may overlook the positive symbolic contributions of those archetypes and their ability to help your personal healing and transformation. Remember that the energy of archetypes is neutral and that you can change any negative expression from these patterns to positive ones. Joan has the victim in her 8th house, which relates to other people's money and how we use it, and to inheritance and legal matters. From her earliest recollection, she was taught that money is essential to her ability to protect herself. Her immigrant parents taught her that without money, she would be socially powerless and at the mercy of other people. Her inspired Joan to set a good education, and she became adept at earning her own living and making profitable financial investments. Sorry. Where did I leave off? Her immigrant parents taught her that without money, she'd be socially powerless at the mercy of other people. Her parents inspired Joan to get a good education, and she became adept at earning her own living and making profitable financial investments. The victim archetype in her eighth house represented her fear that she could be taken advantage of, and she channeled that fear constructively into self protection. Note that Joan's primary motivation in life came from the wisdom she inherited from her parents rather than from an outside resource. Although other people undoubtedly inspired her, Joan's core inspiration came not from a teacher or a friend, but from a source of inheritance, which is also native to the eighth house. To Joan, the victim archetype had far more positive than negative associations. It was an ally that motivated her to become shrewd, capable businesswoman. It also led her to volunteer to help other women and men learn how to protect themselves from being victimized in the financial world. Helping people to see that they have opportunities in life comes naturally to me, Joan said. I am available to those who need that kind of advice. They find me. I obviously radiate a kind of how to rid yourself of the victim within message. Joan also related her victim to some of her other archetypes, including her prostitute, because she felt that had she not learned to take care of herself financially, she would have become dependent on or subject to the demands of others for her survival. Having an empowered victim allowed her to take risks in life. Joan had also chosen the rebel archetype as one of her companions. I am interested in politics and in working in behalf of people who make my city, Detroit, a better place. And the issues that I am drawn to might be considered rebellious by some, such as equal rights for gays and lesbians. But my nature consistently draws me to chip away at social perceptions that make people powerless. That is the thread of my contracts with people. I meet people to teach me how to do this better, who challenge me because they believe they can't change things and need help. Joan described her other 9 archetypes in relationship to her victim as waiting in the wings should she need to call on them. One of the most significant aspects of this story is that Joan's ability to help others was natural, as if she were born with it, and she did not have to advertise for people to help. When someone has to break down a door to enter a room, whether that room refers symbolically to a social group or to a certain role, it suggests that he's not meant to be there. The question then arises, how do I know whether a blockade means that the time is not right for something to happen and that I should still hold on to my dream, or that I'm on the wrong path? When the path is right for you, some intervention or act of grace will guide you. It will be as banal as someone saying to you, hang in there, it'll work out. Or an apparent accident or coincidence may clear the way just when your path seemed blocked. On the other hand, when you are on the path that is not yours to walk, no animated intervention will occur. That is, a person might say, hang in there, but these words will lack the kind of electricity that gives you hope and strength. Remaining on the path will eventually become energetically expensive because nothing will empower you. Your archetypes are generally visible in every stage of your life. Joan, for instance, could see how the victim had animated her from her childhood. not just at that moment. Even if you see an immediate connection between an archetype and its house, take time to look back into your history for past experiences that reflect that pattern. Reuben, for instance, had the Samaritan archetype in his 10th house, which rules his highest potential. I enjoy doing what I can for others, he said, but I also know what it feels like to need help. I needed that when I was a teenager. We had some rough times at home, and believe me, it's hard to need, much less take, a handout. Good Samaritans don't want anything in return. The genuine ones give, and you never feel humiliated by needing their help. The archetypes are a mirror of yourself. The more you learn about the nature of an archetype, the more you will learn about yourself. If, for example, Reuben were to read the scriptural story of the Good Samaritan, which is one of the prototypes of this archetype in the Western world, he would discover additional dynamics in his dealings with others. The Samaritan were the avowed enemies of the Jews, and so Samaritans of the Jews, and so by helping a Jewish man who had been robbed and beaten and left by the roadside, the Good Samaritan did not merely perform an act of charity. He first had to overcome his tribe's preconceptions about whom he should feel compassion towards. It's relatively easy to help people of your own kind, but the Good Samaritan is an incarnation of the abomination to love thine enemy. So tomorrow we'll read about re-examining your spiritual real estate with pen in hand. So I'm just going to read through this, and then I'm going to do it myself. The book, in case anybody who listens wants to do the work too, is called Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Miss. Let me read the archetype we left off in the back with yesterday, which was what? Liberator. We tend to think of liberators as great military and political leaders who free an entire country or people from servitude, such as Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Simon Bolivar of Venezuela, Nelson Mandela, and depending on your politics, Lenin, Castro, and Che Guevara. In everyday life, however, any number of the people can play a similar role on a similar scale, helping to liberate us from tyranny of self-inflicted negative thought patterns and beliefs, spiritual sluggishness, poor nutrition, destructive relationships, or addictive behavior. This archetype can be an invaluable ally in helping to free us from old entrenched beliefs and attitudes that have been inculcated from without, much like occupying colonial armies. Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha were liberators in this sense, offering options to the violence, suffering, and spiritual stagnation of their respective times and places. You do not have to be a charismatic leader to have this archetype, though. Thousands of people have taken part in long campaigns to win freedom from various kinds of oppression, from the freedom riders of the civil rights movement in the United States to the freedom fighters of the Hungarian Revolution. The shadow liberator manifests in those who would liberate us from one tyrant only to impose their own tyranny over our lives. Corporate, political, religious, and spiritual leaders who speak of freedom as a way to their individual aggrandizement. In evaluating whether this archetype belongs to your circle of 12, ask whether you have shown a lifelong pattern of helping to free others from injustices, from adverse economic or social conditions, or simply from their misconceptions. Excuse me. Film: Anthony Quinn in Sorba the Greek, Rosalind Russell in Auntie Mammy, Ingrid Bergman in The Joan of Arc, Tom Selleck In and Out. Fiction: Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. Fairy tale: Belling the Cat. Religion and myth: Dionysus and Eros both bore other names meaning the liberator. Okay, that's it. See y'all tomorrow.